Everybody to the hero's journey of baseball. It is so good to see you guys here. It is springtime in 2025. I know not officially on the calendar, but because baseball's around, it's springtime. And that means we're celebrating here today the hero's journey of baseball. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at the PowerPoint really quickly. This is going to guide us and show all the films. The hero's journey of baseball is, the way we're presenting it, a cinema therapy presentation. What does that mean? Well, we have 12 different film clips from 12 baseball films that are going to give us a look at baseball from a lot of different angles, a lot of different meanings, and hopefully affect you all and have you thinking and questioning and wondering and laughing and crying, all of those things. That's what we're here to do. Because the idea of cinema therapy is we don't just look at a film once, we look at it repeatedly to see what else is in there for us, the second, third, however many times we see it. And what does our life bring to the film? What do we bring to it collectively so that it has even more to it? The game of baseball means a lot of different things to a lot of different people historically, and that's what we're going to be presenting today. Yes and Exercise, I think most of you know, is a 501c3. We are there. We help with improvisation and storytelling, predominantly for the Parkinson's community. However, everyone is welcome. You all belong, and we have fun in what we do. So please know that those improvisation and cinema therapy classes are open to everyone. And we're going to talk more about a baseball opportunity of cinema therapy at the end of this with the movie Field of Dreams. So let's go ahead and roll forward with our first clip of the day. Remembering that chat is open. If you just want to say hi to everybody, you can go ahead and chat any way you want. Here's the first clip. As a matter of fact, it's a warm-up. Look at this. I don't know, maybe you don't know this one, but we're going back to 1949. You see Frank Sinatra, you see Gene Kelly. Well, they're doing their version of oh, look, there's my special guest. I have to interrupt for this. He's coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason for the season for many, my dad is here. Hold on one second. This is a great thing. I was so hoping he would be here. Let me make sure that he's coming in on his screen, and we're going to say hi to Dad. I know he's there, and his lovely assistant, Mariah, is helping him. Daniel Cochran. Well, at least we see his name on the screen. That means he's here. Dad, I hope you can hear me. I trust that you're here with us, and that means the world to me. So we'll be talking more about Dad and his connection to all these things, and one of the reasons why he means so much to me in terms of all things baseball. Okay, let's go ahead and feel free to move to this. This is a song. It's a song and dance. If you're going to do anything crazy like Gene or Frank, you might want to kind of stretch out beforehand. But enjoy. This is a different take on baseball as well. It wouldn't be complete without 3 or 4 encores, right? I mean, come on. It's Frank and Gene. They got to do it. So this is baseball. This is one of our celebrations. This is how we get warmed up. A very different take on the song. And it's Berkeley Busby. And it's just all the fantastic things. And remind you, this is history. 1949. This is they're talking about the old ball game in 1949, almost 100 years ago, calling it the old ball game, right? Well, Babe, another great figure in baseball, said baseball was, is, and always will be to me the best game in the world. So that's what we're here to celebrate right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next film clip right here, which is going to be the beginning, I should say, of what we're going to be looking at today. And it's The Ordinary World, okay? We start there with The Sandlot. That's the first film clip we're going to see. What do we mean by the ordinary world? Well, this is in the hero's journey construct where the hero begins. The very understanding of this is life as it normally is. The call to adventure happens second in this classic storytelling, and you can apply this to all stories. The call to adventure is something dramatic, something that pushes the hero out of the ordinary, says, we've got to do this thing. The refusal of the call, the hero's scared. That's stage 3. No thanks. It sounds too big, too scary, as my son might say. Well, then there's meeting the mentor. That's the point when the person comes in, or the entity that helps the hero gain the courage and the knowledge, the experience they need to do the thing they need to, which is cross the threshold, stage 5, into that special world. The special world is where they begin to face tests and allies and enemies, stage 6, the things that train them, that get them stronger and smarter and wiser for what? The approach to the inmost cave, that scary thing, the thing that they want and the thing that they fear. Those two come together in stage 8, the ordeal. And the ordeal is the big collision. Oh my gosh, this is that scary moment where the hero looks like he, she, or they might be dead. But they come back. In fact, there's a reward. They survive somehow, and they move beyond that moment. to realize, okay, I've got this thing. I've gained something that allows me to take the road back. The road back where? To the ordinary world, where we began. But before we get back to the ordinary world, we have to have a resurrection. That means something or someone has to die. Something has to go away in order for the hero to recognize that he or she or they is ready to return with the elixir, some magical thing that heals us all and makes that whole journey worthwhile. So that's the hero's journey. And you see the films we're going to take it on. So with no further ado, let's go on to our first film, and it's The Sandlot. We start right here, okay? This is the present, okay? Only to quickly flash back, right? It's 1993 at the beginning of the film, and the filmmaker, the hero, who is Scotty Smalls, he's not the filmmaker, but the storyteller. He's going to tell us a story back in 1962 of what things were like when he moved to this small town in San Fernando Valley, and he doesn't know anybody. He's a lonely kid until baseball opens the door. Here we go. So what do we see, feel, and notice in that, the opening scene right there? We start to feel a little bit of what baseball is, what it could be, the romanticism of it. You know, one kid's story who's, as we see, flash forward to becoming a professional in the game, although as an announcer rather than as a player. And we'll see more about that later on in the film. Let's move forward in the call to adventure. In the call to adventure, it's a second stage when now we're looking at why the hero has to move forward. And in the film right here, Everybody Wants Some. This is 2016, and the story of Jake Bradford. He is actually flashing back to 1980. This is a film by Richard Linklater, where he's telling some of his own story. Richard Linklater was a ball player himself. And Jake Bradford, the character in here, was a high school phenom pitcher. But as he finds out when he gets to college, well, things are a little different here at Southeast Texas State. And welcome to college ball, freshmen. Let's take a look. Baseball and the boys and being that where they will be. This is college. This is rough. This is a very different take than little kids at the Sandlot, right? And it's another flavor of baseball. It's very real. So it depends how we come in, and a call to adventure of, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? Well, let's find out here in the refusal of the call, when sometimes a person says no. And in this very famous moment of saying no, this is the 1940s. Of course, the film came out in 1992, but we know in the 1940s, the World War II took some of the boys of summer overseas to fight in World War II. So the fans wanted baseball at home. Who did they turn to? Well, they turned to the ladies. There's just one problem when it comes to baseball. There's what there is and what there isn't. And what there isn't, well, there just isn't.
Now, all right, who's up?
So baseball has so many angles to it, so much history. And there's the unwritten rules of baseball, the things you say and don't say, the things you do and don't do. There's so much tradition and so many different ways we approach it. And the different people who play it often show us the different ways they feel that. So let's take a look at these first three films. And what I want to ask all of you, and feel free to let me know if you're thinking or feeling anything along that, is just, what emotions do you associate with baseball? Did these three films bring up anything within you? Do they start your heart in any direction? Does it get you thinking or feeling any way in particular about the game? And if you want to share something, we got a moment right here. If somebody has a quick story or something, Karen has something she'd like to share. Karen, go ahead, please tell us what emotions are stirred by baseball.
Sense of community and home, but boys will be boys even when they're men.
Boys will be boys. And isn't it funny to see what happens when we get the girls? Because those who watch the rest of A League of Their Own, hey, you know, those girls will be girls and they get out there and they kick butt in their own way. So yeah, wonderful, Karen. Thank you. Anybody else? Any thoughts, any emotions come to mind right away regarding baseball and what you're feeling? And by all the way, the chat is open. Susan, go ahead and let us know. Yes, please.
In the ordinary world, the earnestness in the eyes, in the face of those even young boys was just palpable.
Yeah. And that's right. We see different people at different stages, different ages approaching the game. And it's one of the wonderful things that I think the hero's journey of baseball in terms of cinema gives us, right? it's an all play sport from the little kids to the oldest, and men and women. We see it done so many different ways, and not just from the player standpoint, but the coaching standpoint, the management standpoint, the fan standpoint. I see Peter's hand. Yes, Peter, please.
Yeah, there's something about how baseball, when you're a little kid, you picture yourself in the game, in the big game, and even as an adult, many years past when I could ever play baseball anymore. I peaked at 12, and there's something so I know James Earl Jones will say it, universal about baseball, that just strikes the child in me, the magic of being a child.
That's beautiful, Peter. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we're talking nostalgia. And I see Sharon. Yes, Sharon, please come on in.
This brings back so many memories from going to baseball games with my grandfather in St. Louis in the 60s, with the Cardinals winning everything, to watching my kids play Little Bit League, and now my grandson. It just keeps going round and around and around. It's in our history. It's in our DNA. And my husband as well, who is a White Sox fan, he's disappeared. But he will be back, I think.
Well,
wonderful memories.
Yeah, thank you so much. The multi-generational is a big part of this, and we're going to keep seeing more of that. So please keep adding to the chat. Let's go forward with the next stage, because we're going to meet the mentor right here, and we're going to go all the way to 1988. Well, and in 1988, this is a classic story of the 1980s baseball, and this is no longer the majors. This is the minors. And as a matter of fact, we have a career all-star in the minors of sorts, a dubious honor given to Crash here, played by Kevin Costner. Now, we know that baseball is the constant, and it's a huge deal, especially in the small towns. It's, for a lot of them, it's the biggest deal there is, but it's not the only game in town. Baseball crosses with love. And we see that right here with Annie, as she has let both these two players know, I'm going to play with one of you this year, and I'm just trying to figure out who. And Crash says, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you, who and what I am, and you can pick for yourself. And here he gives that famous speech of what love is to him. Oh my, indeed. Yes, that's the belief, and that's baseball, and that's love, and that's the beautiful collision that happens in this space. So that's the mentor, right? In the hero's journey sense, this is someone coming in to change the rules, to say, no, this is how things are going to go, and kickstart the adventure in a direction that maybe we hadn't expected. So let's take a look now as we're going to cross the threshold. Baseball is more than just hijinks and love. It is, in fact, the highest of political and social drama, especially in the light of one of the greatest moments and players of all time, Jackie Robinson. And we're going to take a look at that clip right here from the movie 42, where the color line in 1946 had not yet been crossed. And Brooklyn Dodger owner Branch Rickey has his eyes on just the man for the job. And that's Jackie Robinson, but it's not going to be easy. Let's take a look at this clip. There he is, Jackie Robinson, answering the call, crossing the threshold, one of the biggest lines to be crossed that set the table for the modern civil rights era, and just an unbelievable matter of courage through the lens of baseball. This is how we're going to make change. We're going to force people to see something they don't want to see, force them to learn something they don't want to learn, force them to understand something that is simply true. And that's what the power of baseball can be, told through the lens of the hero's journey. All right, one more clip for this stage, and we'll come together and talk about how all these things make us feel. And that is the tests, allies, and enemies. Well, like we said, it goes back and forth, and we go from the sublime to the silly, and that's where we are now. In 1989, this is the late 1980s, the hapless Cleveland Indians, they're a dumpster fire. They can't field, they can't hit, they can't pitch, and that's just as their owner planned. But besides those few minor setbacks, everything is great. Yeah, they're wonderful. What they really need now to set the whole thing on fire is a wild thing. And who better than Charlie Sheen to do that? Let's take a look. So these are some of the trials and tribulations of the fan. And I believe we have a few fans and want to kind of stop to say hi to everybody out there and take a look. As a fan, who understands the pain of baseball? How many of you out there from being a fan understand what it means to hurt? To see that home run fly that way, to watch your pitcher walk 3 straight. Yeah. Tell me about the feeling, the emotions associated with, yeah, Michelle's right in there. The feelings. Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, it was actually, hi everyone. That earlier clip when it was Babe Ruth calling the home run, I was like, wow, there's going to be a film coming out soon with the most humiliating moment, the most humiliating season of my team, the New York Yankees. And I really my heart was last fall, my heart was being pulled in many directions. It was very dramatic for me inside. And I'm just a fan. I'm not on the team.
Well, this is the right place to talk about that because it's ridiculous how much it hurts, Michelle. And I'm right with you. I'm going to go to Alinda. Yeah, tell us about the pain of being a fan, Alinda. Oh, did I lose Alinda? Oh, shoot. I think she, oh, no, you're right there. Go ahead. Unmute yourself, dear. I got you.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Actually, I'm a new fan of baseball. In the last 2 years, I actually can understand the game and realize that it's a lot more fun than I ever imagined. And now I'm hooked. I don't have a team yet, but I can feel her passion, the lady that just spoke, for other sports like football. So I get it. There's a connection there that is almost like their family.
Yeah, I think that's the right word, Alinda, and thank you very much for that. That the players become family in that way. I see a family member, Perry, with his hand up. Hi, Perry. What are you thinking?
Hey, how you doing today?
Good, buddy.
Over the whole in baseball, and I've always believed this, you only got to get it right 1 out of 3 times.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I look at Parkinson's. If you've never failed, then you've never tried. So I see that in baseball.
I love the cross you just put between baseball and Parkinson's. And as I'm going to talk about later with my dad here, we have a huge one in that regard. So thanks for that intro there, Perry. Appreciate it. Karen, I see your hand up. Go ahead, dear. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing is, the pain of being a fan is when your home team leaves home.
Oh.
Your home team is, it's the connection to the community. And yeah, we're in that boat of our home team left home and Sacramento's far away. And it's a hard one to swallow.
Karen was with Dad and I at that last game in the Oakland Coliseum just a few months ago when we saw our beloved A's ripped out of our community. And you're right, that's the greatest heartbreak I've known as a baseball fan.
Yeah, there's a lot of tears in baseball when that happens.
There is crying in baseball. You're right. Yeah. Hey, Amy, go ahead, dear. Oh, you're muted. Go ahead. Unmute yourself there.
I was hoping my daughter would join us. She is a new baseball fan as well. And unfortunately, her newness was to loving baseball was because of the A's as well. And she had to watch him leave. And and then I would go back to my dad, see the Brooklyn Dodgers here. Wearing that in honor of my dad, because he was born in Brooklyn, but then he became a Yankees fan because they left, so so there's a lot of my connection to baseball is definitely how much my dad loved it. He was in the theater, Broadway theater business, and he played in something called the Broadway Show League, which was, the teams were made up of the actors and crew from the shows. And that was, I used to go see those games in Central Park with my dad. It was great fun. So
were Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra ever part of those? Or
Gene Kelly, I know was. I don't know about Frank.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, we see that opening clip and I know that's a film a lot of people may not have looked at before, and you realize,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, the depth and
You
the
can look it up, and you can look up the rosters for old games.
That's fantastic.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, the history is awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Ryan, I saw your thumb go down a couple times. Do you want to add something to your feeling about the New York teams? I think Ryan has a reply. Go ahead and unmute yourself there, pal, and I want to give you a moment to give fair to everybody. You got that?
Wow, that was an epic trial.
You're there.
I unmuted.
Yay!
I got many thoughts about baseball because I love baseball, and it brings me to a place that nothing else can bring me to. Not even Christmas. Christmas is way second behind baseball, and especially this time of year. And my favorite part about baseball is just like making up the rivalry, like pretending like you really care about it, and the Giants because I'm a big Giants fan, and the I don't know if you know, the Giants and Dodgers are enemies.
For sure.
And one of my favorite things to do is go to a Giants game against the Dodgers at Pac Bell or whatever they used to call it, or Oracle Park now. You walk down, you see somebody in a Dodger uniform or a hat or something, and you just look at them and you just go.
Just give them the Caesar thumbs down, straight
So
up.
yesterday, actually, it was true. I was in a grocery store, and there was this man sitting in a wheelchair, and he had a LA Dodgers cap that was really covered in oil and stuff. You could tell it was really old. And I just looked at him and I go, I've been waiting to do this for 6 months.
So there he is, heart to heart. Ryan just letting people know baseball goes over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, thank you, man. That is the hero's journey of baseball. Oh, Michelle, oh dear. Okay, we're not going to turn this into a tribal war, I swear, but go ahead.
Say real quick, I had the opposite experience, not Giants Dodgers, but where there was a bond. I went to Dodger Stadium for the first time, and I was in all Yankee gear because they were playing the Yankees, and that's the only reason I was there.
But you wouldn't have done that at Fenway, I bet.
Oh no! That's that.
Yeah.
But the reception by the Dodger fans was just like love. Like there was a bond. They were like, it was funny that to have a bond with strangers in LA because of baseball. Anyway, that's all.
It's all good, my dear. Thank you for that. Well, let's keep rolling right here. Let's take a look again at those 3 films that we just saw, and anything that comes up from them, please feel free to share. Of course, put it in the chat, especially. We saw Meeting the Mentor with Bull Durham. We saw Crossing the Threshold with the film 42, and then Tests, Allies, and Enemies of Major League. And the question is, has baseball ever broken your heart? I mean, we heard Karen's story right there. Anybody else, if you've got any stories of baseball breaking your heart, put it in the chat. Tell us, how baseball, as much as we love it, and maybe because we love it that much, can in fact, and does maybe even regularly break our hearts. We care way more than maybe we should. I've done that many times. My dad and I have had that question. Damn, why do I care this much? Why does this hurt that bad? So it goes with the beautiful game. All right, put it in the chat and let's keep going. Let's take a look at our next clips. The Approach to the Inmost Cave. We're going to 1976. Look, it is Tatum O'Neal, and she's with Walter Matthau. Her dad is the character of Morris Buttermaker. He's a washed-up, never quite was ball player that now makes a living cleaning pools and drinking beer. He takes some money to coach a group of misfits in a group of Little League, and one of those people just happens to be his estranged daughter, an ace pitcher named Amanda. Here we go. The beautiful tragedy of the game right there, encapsulated so well. Just terrible pain and just part of the journey. This is, estrangement. This is family, once again, through baseball, and the difficulty of trying to make it work. And sometimes the game giving us a brief reprieve, but ultimately, as we heard in the scene, the season comes to an end. Then what, right? Yeah, it's a long, cold winter. Let's move on now to our next clip right here, which is going to get us into the ordeal. And in the ordeal of the Field of Dreams, well, we got a guy with a problem. His name's Ray Kinsella. And Ray Kinsella has a cornfield that talks to him. Now, if that weren't enough, he went ahead and built a field. He chased a famous author, convinced him to come with him, and then had this weird mystery of figuring out who the him was. If you build it, he will come. Well, who is he? He thinks he may have found him, by traveling back in time in the town of Chisholm, Minnesota, to meet Archibald Moonlight Graham. So it goes. Moonlight Graham has a wish, and he leaves it as a wish. The moments that we think are going to last forever, they don't. They blow right by us. Do we recognize how special time is when it is right in front of us? Beautiful moments there in the ordeal. And as we see, nothing easy, nothing settled. It leads us to some kind of reward, though, in the hero's journey. And sometimes that can be confidence. Sometimes that can be understanding. Sometimes that can be, something that lets us move forward with strength. And that is where we are with this 8 Men Out, a very difficult baseball story because it deals with scandal. It deals with the idea of the Black Sox, the White Sox of 1919, that actually they threw the World Series. They had the best team. Everyone knew it. So the gamblers got involved, got a couple players involved, and you know what? Said, we're going to take money over a victory here. Now, not all the players were on board with that. And Buck Weaver, played by John Cusack here, was one of those players. He's one of those players who said no. And you're going to see a little bit about his character right here as he talks to a couple of young fans. Here's Buck Weaver, 8 Men Out. Buck Weaver talking about the timelessness of the game. And so I want to bring this forward to you all again. When we think about baseball, when we think about what it feels like, that idea of, as Buck says, living forever, there's a construct called flow, this idea of getting lost in the moment, of being, in so involved in something. And that can happen as a fan, that can happen as an athlete, that can happen in meditation or yoga or anything else too. Have any of you ever experienced that? Like you've been so lost in the moment, a baseball game in particular, that you thought, this is my whole life happening right now in front of me. Michelle, I saw your hand go up. Yeah. Talk to me about that passion of being there in the moment.
Well, as a musician, definitely I get to experience that.
Yeah. And does that ever translate as a fan of you? Do you have one moment in the ballpark? Because I know you're a big fan of going to the games where it just felt like time stopped, that it was timeless because, it was that big of a moment to you?
Probably the perfect game in Oakland that we, one of our Yankee pitchers, and I was with a friend who was a hardcore A's fan who had been at the perfect game back in 1968 and hadn't been to a game in over 20 years. And we're sitting there and I thought he was going to want to go home early. And he's like, do you see what's happening? We're not leaving until one gets it from or there's it was like, and everybody sitting there and just like, it was, yeah, especially in that place to have that kind of liveness.
The perfect
knowing
game. Yeah, no hits, no walks.
No,
it's the rarest accomplishment, and to be there and to be part of something historic. Yeah, that's huge. Karen, I see your hand. Yes, please.
Just being at the game. One game in particular with my parents. My mom was diagnosed with scleroderma, and part of us getting those season tickets was living the biggest life we could, while she was still real healthy. And just being able to do that, the three of us as a family, and hold together and be there for those games in the 80s, it really did feel like time stood still. We really focused hard on making the most out of that time. And it was some of the best times of my growing up years. And thank you again for what went by too fast, which was our game. But yeah, I'm just really glad to be able to relive all of this through the hero's journey here.
Time standing still. That is kind of the idea of baseball. And I see Brad's hand. Yeah, Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, I play a lot of racket sports, pickleball or tennis. And I find when you're at the net and the ball's going, and you're in the point and it goes, you feel the flow. It's going boom, 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 boom. You have time to think of nothing else. You're just in the moment, hitting that ball and hitting it back to you. And it's a wonderful feeling. You're just lost in the awesomeness of the experience.
And when you feel it, like you said, in your own athleticism, do you ever get that transference? I mean, none of us will have, probably, unless I don't mean to assume, but the idea of what it's like to crush a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. However, when you get that from, hitting the perfect slice or the drop or whatever, you can see a well executed hit, I imagine, and be like, I know what that is. Yeah.
No, for sure. I've played a lot of different sports, but you can feel a lot of different moments. Baseball, hitting a big, deep ball, or the perfect pitch to home plate, playing lacrosse, and scoring the goal.
Yeah.
All these sports have this transcendent moments where you're in the moment and you're in the flow. And it's just an incredibly awesome experience.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I see Tom. Yeah, Tom, please go ahead. Oh, and unmute yourself there, pal. There you go.
1989, Giants versus Chicago Cubs, 7th game of the playoff. I have never been in a game where the fans were as one person. There was not anyone in the ballpark that wasn't into the game. Will Clark hitting off the real wild thing, Mitch Williams, and they won that, and they won the pennant. And to this day, it's the most amazing sports event I ever saw. Will Clark hitting that, and it was a single. You think of a big home run and everything, but he hit a single. And I have, as I say, it was as though the crowd was one person. Never seen anything like it.
Beautiful description. And once again, it talks about the power of the unity of everybody being in that space of wanting something that much. And we know as fans, you can want it that much. The great fear is it's not going to happen. And for those who have been long-suffering teams of an organization that hasn't won a championship, you're just constantly playing the Charlie Brown waiting for Lucy to pull the football from you thing. And when you punch your ticket with that perfect single from Will the Thrill, I mean, yeah, that's the moment where it all feels redemptive.
Yeah, it was an amazing game.
Thanks so much, Tom. All right, we got 3 more films to look at here in the hero's journey, so let's go ahead and get onto those. We'll review briefly the ones we just saw, which were The Approach to the Inmost Cave. We saw Bad News Bears, and again, the familial type of love and angst that went on in that scene. We saw The Ordeal of the Field of Dreams, wishing for something for someone else and having someone else say, you don't understand why I have to say no. And then there, of course, in 8 Men Out, the tragedy of something larger, the idea of betrayal of a family. Can you imagine the people you're closest to selling you out and going after their own means when you are there for what you believe is the purity of the experience? And that was what went on in 8 Men Out. So that leads us to the final 3 stages of the hero's journey. We got to get on the road back. It's time, as a matter of fact, that, if you want to add anything about what makes baseball unique to you, this is the question. We heard some of the individual stories right there, but if there is anything you can point at that you can say, yeah, this is why baseball in particular means this or makes me think or feel that, go ahead and put it in the chat. That's something we'd love to see, so feel free. All right, let's go forward. This is another film for those who are fans of really the emotional aspect of the game. You may be familiar with it. Was not, it was a pretty well-known film at its time, but not necessarily the blockbuster that some of the others we've seen have been. It's called Bang the Drum Slowly, back from 1973, and it really highlights the unique pace that baseball movies sometimes get into, right? That the game, while we see that, and it's important, it's the moments in between the game that really fill what happens. And this scene we're about to watch happens during a rain delay, and it's toward the end of a pretty tragic film where the star pitcher, Henry Wiggins, finds out that his catcher, a young Robert De Niro playing the character of Bruce, is hiding a terminal illness. And he's hanging on with everything he can to play baseball as long as he can. And Henry has taken Bruce under his wings. And in the clubhouse here, as they're waiting for this rain delay, there's a song called Streets of Laredo. And it tells the story of a dying cowboy, which is a metaphor for what's going on with Bruce. And indeed, the title of the movie, the lyrics come up in the song. Let's watch and listen. beautiful tragedy right there. Once again, baseball bringing up life and death, which really heightens the stakes at this stage of the story. The road back, we want to know why we took this journey. Why did we go that far? Well, it's because there's a transition. It's because it's a reminder to all of us that life does end. And therefore, we have to recognize and value those moments, much like Archibald Graham talked about in an earlier scene. So we have a resurrection, a rebirth, as it were, a moment where we decide or we find out who we really are, who we need to be. It means we have to give something up sometimes. And we face a crucible, one final piece. And that's what Billy Beane, played by Brad Pitt here, is facing in the 2011 film Moneyball. The year is 2002. The team is my beloved Oakland A's. And Billy Beane, the general manager, just got an offer to become the richest general manager in all of sports. The A's had a tremendous season, the magical season, an impossible season. So he, of course, they're trying to poach him, bring him to another team. He would go immediately from the bottom dwellers of Oakland to the top, Boston, and the big money spenders, just like that. But he's not sure if he wants to do it. So Peter Brand, played by Jonah Hill, gets to be the lucky guy that hears the news. And how can you not be romantic about baseball? It's a metaphor. You're a good egg. Yeah, all of you guys out there, you're good eggs. All right, let's go on to our final scene right here, which takes us to the return with Elixir. This is the final moment where everything comes to pass. And we're going to 1984, and it's going to bring us to the year in the film of 1939. We're looking at Roy Hobbs right here, a.k.a. Wonder Boy, played by Robert Redford. And he's up at the plate for one final at-bat. He has journeyed through a life in baseball with tremendous gifts that maybe he didn't fully respect and maybe have dogged him because of the way he treated them. He now gets one final swing. He gets to stand at home plate and face himself in the form of a younger pitcher who is what he could have been. And in that, face himself and death one final time. Here it is. So it goes with the hero's journey of baseball. I am in tears. That gets me every time. I won't even apologize for it. That just gets me every time. Anybody else that would like to talk for a moment while I collect myself, because that was awesome, about what you're feeling, what you're thinking about how baseball takes us on a hero's journey and maybe what it means to you right now. Amy, yes, please.
Well, I just put this in the chat, but I'll say it again. It makes me think of particular episode. I'm a Star Trek fan of Deep Space Nine, where they were playing baseball, and this was their team, the Niners. And Captain Sisko says, "There's more to baseball than physical strength. It's about courage. It's about faith. It's also about heart." So, and that's it.
Yeah, that is it. That is it. Thank you, Karen.
And it's about teamwork, and not just the team, the team, the fans, the families, everybody. It incorporates the whole. You know, there's no I in baseball either, but there's definitely a lot of tears. And here we go again.
Yeah, there's no crying in baseball. I guess Tom Hanks was wrong.
Extremely.
Turns out there's more than a few. Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate all that. Perry, yes, please.
You know, I've been at a point where I thought I was striking out, and I got to get up again, and
it's a metaphor, right?
Out of words.
Yeah.
Out of words.
You said it all, my friend. You said it all. You know, we face those moments, and this is where the game becomes a microcosm, and we can understand the larger truths, the reason why we keep showing up, the way multi-generational relationships shape our views of what goes on each time we go to the familiar place, we see it differently because we've changed. And that's really the magic of the game, told through the multiple lenses. Let's take a look.
Extra innings.
Say it again, Perry. Sorry.
Extra innings.
Yeah, extra innings. Let's keep on with those extra innings, my friend, and thank you for being here for them. Let's take a look at those final three scenes, and then one final scene that I want to show you all. Here is the look at these three clips, which are Bang the Drum Slowly. We saw and we heard that beautiful song and how it related to a relationship that was dealing with death. We saw another relationship, a possible breakup versus the continuation of a relationship, and the meaning of the game and why we play and one's worth within the game, which is, of course, behind that story massively. And then the natural, the moment where we saw Billy Beane, or we saw Roy Hobbs get his big moment on the screen and become the person that I think everybody thought he was going to be for a long time. So Roy Hobbs becomes knocking the lights out of the stadium, the legend that everyone dreamed he could be. So within that, the final question is, has there ever been a time when baseball's really electrified you, a single moment that made you stand up and scream? And if so, put it in the chat. Tell us the story of when, oh my gosh, it was bigger than life. It was something that I couldn't believe how much it was, how much it did, and how much it means. With that in mind, I'm going to give you a series of moments that did that. And I'm going to stop really quickly and restart because there's a little something on the screen there that I want to remove. Let's go ahead and put that back up. There we go. There's a very special gentleman in the room right now, and that's my dad. And you can see him right here. And there we are at the Field of Dreams. This is back in 2004. My dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2001, and we went on a Field of Dreams journey together, seeing all 30 major league parks over the course of one summer in 2004, after being inspired by watching the Field of Dreams, a true cinema therapy type of story well before I knew what cinema therapy meant. And in this journey, we laid the foundation for our adult relationship, one that moves beyond just the familial blood of a father and a son into two men that have come to know, love, and respect each other at deeper levels that certainly bears us well as we travel on the journey of life in Parkinson's and baseball together. So to that end, I played this final scene for you right here, which is a premiere for many of you. And Dad, this will be the first you've heard of it. A song I wrote with my fellow composer. His name is Will Townsley. He's done all the music for all the Boys of Summer documentaries and other films of mine. And this is called Dad Was Here, set to some clips from Boys of Summer. Enjoy. Let's go, Oakland.
Just you and me, maps on the dashboard, chasing a dream. 30 parks in just 60 nights, under the stars and the stadium lights. You show me the way with every mile, a field of dreams and your quiet smile. Now the seasons change, the years rush by, but your voice still echoes deep inside. Dad was here in every throw, in every cheer, in all I know. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd, you taught me to stand up tall and proud. The roads will end and the lights will fade, but our love's the field where memories are made. Still see you out there on the mound, worn out gloves, soft infield ground. I hit the fastball, but miss the curve. Buckle my knees, it's what I deserve. Now I'm the one with kids of my own, teaching them things you'd always shown. Though time is worn, your body thin, your heart beats strong. strong when the game begins. Dad was here in every throw, in every cheer, in all I know. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd, you taught me to stand up tall and proud. The roles will end and the lights will fade, but our love's the field where memories are made. When I'm at the plate.
Good afternoon, baseball fans. We got a great one today.
I hear you call.
The Oakland Athletics going for the sweep.
Dig you hill and sun.
The boys of summer are back.
See the seams of the ball.
The A's rookie sensation is leading the club.
I hear the crowd.
He's a 5-tool player.
Lean back in my stance.
Facing the league leader in strikeouts.
The pitch comes spinning.
The count has gone full.
I swing for the fence.
There's a drive to deep left field. Mosby's back. He's on the warning track. Way back, and it's gone. A walk-off grand slam for the Oakland A's spectacular rookie.
We reach the last part, the end of the line. Our dreams complete and frozen in time. The feeling is numb, there's gotta be more. The final out goes up on the board. I ask you one thing that you want now. More time together, though it's not allowed. The scoreboard fades, but one thing is clear. In every moment, Dad was here. Dad was here in every throw, in every cheer, in all I know. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd, he taught me to stand up tall and proud. Yeah, the roads will end and the lights will fade, but our love's a field where memories are made. So here's to the man who taught me the game, who gave me the courage to play through the pain. Dad was here and always will be. Our journey's forever a part of me.
1, 2, 3, There you go. That a boy. Yeah, that's what Grandpa says to his grandson. Let's go, Oakland. So there it is. There's Dad was here, the premiere. Thank you all for being here for that. My dad is here as well, and if you're able to, Dad, I don't know if you can start your video, or if Mariah, if you're there with my dad. Would love to see you, would love to hear you if possible. And so I put the invitation out there if you can do so. If not, we trust that you'll be here when you can, and that's okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share about anything they've seen here in the hero's journey and of baseball, or anything with that song right there with Dad Was Here? I see Amy. Yes, Amy, please go ahead. Oh, you're muted, dear.
I want to just comment, Dan, you are really good at catching. Really good.
That catch he made in Cincinnati was unbelievable. The pitch was a little offline, and he made it. Hey, Dave Parker, new Hall of Famer, Dave Parker, fellow Parkinsonian himself, told my dad, you cut off 2 runs going to the plate with the catch right there. So when you hear it from a Hall of Famer, you know you're doing something right.
Good catcher.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any thoughts or comments about anything you've seen today? I see Linda, my dear aunt and my dad's sister. Yes, please.
I love the song. I love the pictures. I love you. I love my brother. I'm weeping because there is so much courage and so much love between the two of you and your brilliant story. Yeah. Thank you. I love you so much.
I love you too, Aunt Linda. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, Michelle, please.
I also, yeah, thank you for that sharing the song. I'm just feeling gratitude for having met you and your family, and Dan, I know you're there. Um, and having been at a few of those games that were in the in the clip too, but just also, especially particularly meeting you, at a time when my father was, I didn't know it, but was at the end of his life, and seeing how, yeah, just watching you show up for Dan and getting to enjoy baseball together and all of it.
There's a
Feeling
heck of a
grateful.
story behind meeting Michelle, and it'll be in the fourth Boys of Summer. For those who haven't seen, the third film is still up on Metaflix. You can see that through our website, bosmovie.com. The fourth film we hope to get up soon, and Susan was there, and Michelle was there, and Dad was there. I'll leave it at that. There's a heck of a story how we met at the Oakland airport. Yeah. So that's out there, and that's coming in the upcoming film. But I wanted to make sure everybody knows about that. And oh yeah, there's something here. Susan, please go ahead as I look for the final slide. Yes, please.
Yeah. So let's see if I can do this. This was a grand slam. The poetry in this song, the photographs that you chose, and the editing of putting it all together. Out of the park, man. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I deeply, deeply appreciate that. To that end, with great gratitude, I wanted to ask if you could do a quick rating for me and put this in the chat. How did you feel about today's presentation? 1 would be, gosh, I'm sorry I showed up, an absolute strikeout. 10 would be a grand slam. Feel free. Go ahead and put that in the chat how you felt about this, because it helps us know we do these presentations about what you thought about them. And if you're watching this online, you weren't able to make it today, do the same. Put it in the comment section. Let us know what you thought, what you felt about this. And if you want to explore and discover and write more about your baseball journey, we ask that you consider joining us for the Cinema Therapy Fielding Your Dreams program. That's where we take a look at the movie Field of Dreams over the course of 16 weeks. And once a week we meet and watch a clip and then talk about the hero's journey and your story, which you will write in that. And I can say that we have a graduate of that program here with us, Karen, who has written a lovely screenplay, is still in process with it. And I look forward to that. Perry, who is through part of it, and I know health issues took him away, but maybe we can get him to come back when we run it again, because he was writing a hell of a story himself. These stories matter, and being able to tell them through the lens of the hero's journey, and with the help of a fantastic film like Field of Dreams or Shawshank Redemption or Inside Out, any of these great films we use, they help us understand how to tell our story in a way that is engaging and clear and is going to make an impact, because that's what we're all looking to do. We want to be understood. We want to be heard. And I think everybody here wants to make the world a better place. And our stories are a way we certainly can do that. So please consider joining us for that. And then there's the website, yesandexercise.org. It's got the whole litany of things we do. And if you enjoyed this, maybe you'll consider donating to our 501c3 nonprofit, Yes and Exercise. It directly benefits the Parkinson's disease community through these classes that we offer. Some people have paid for scholarships for fellow students in the cinema therapy program, or you've just come to the improv programs where we play and enjoy learning how to communicate better, how to be creative, and many ways to connect with each other in how we hadn't previously. So that's all what we're doing here with Yes and Exercise, and we thank you so much for being a big part of this. So I bring it back to the screen here. I know my dad is trying to get on, but it doesn't look like this camera is going to allow. Dad, can you hear me? Can you say something to us? Sounds like the mic's not being friendly to him. Well, Dad was here. We know that.
Yeah.
We know he's here, and we love you, Dad. And again, you're the reason for so much of this, and thank you for allowing me to share our journey. It's led to this place and to so many other places we'll be going. The Boys of Summer continue, As Dad says, relax. It's just effing Parkinson's. We're gonna do well. We're gonna continue to do well, live well together, and that means sharing together. And baseball, the hero's journey of it's one way we do that. Thank you everybody for being here today. Have a wonderful day, and hey, let's go Oakland. Okay,
let's go somebody.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Take care, everybody.
Let's go Oakland. Let's go.